Pain is one of the greatest teachers you'll ever encounter in life. But most people misinterpret it. They see pain as a punishment, something unfair that was thrown at, a sense that traps them in suffering. The truth is, pain is not meant to lock you down, it's meant to wake you up. It's a signal, not a sentence. When you touch something hot, your body reacts instantly. That burn is painful, but it's not there to ruin you. It's there to alert you to move your hand, to protect yourself, to change your action. Life's pain works the same way. It comes to point your attention to something that needs to shift, something that requires growth, something that demands awareness. Too many people misread the signal, so they get stuck. Instead of hearing what pain is trying to communicate, they sit in it, repeat it, and let it define them. That's not the purpose of pain. The purpose of pain is to sharpen you. Think about the greatest breakthroughs in your life. They didn't come when everything was easy, did? They came after a breakup, after you were rejected, and after you failed a test, after you were told you weren't good enough. Those moments sting deeply. They feel like the world is against you, but looking back, those same moments were the catalyst for you to rise higher, to rethink, to reset. Pain was the trigger that forced you to pay attention, to work harder, to find another way. Without pain, you wouldn't even recognize the areas where you needed to grow. That's why pain is a signal. It tells you, this path isn't working. This choice isn't right. This effort isn't enough. If you treat pain as a death sentence, you quit. But if you treat it as an alert, you change your game. Life is filled with people who took pain the wrong way. They lost a job and believed it meant they were worthless. So they stopped applying. They went through a divorce and believed they weren't lovable. So they stopped trying to love again. They failed once in business and thought it meant they were failure, so they never started again. That's what happens when you think pain is permanent, but when you know it's a signal, you respond differently. Losing a job doesn't mean you're worthless. It means it's time to sharpen your skills, time to shift industries, time to level up. A broken relationship doesn't mean you're unlovable. It means you need healing, boundaries, and growth to love better next time. A failed business doesn't mean you are a failure. It means you've collected data, learned what doesn't work, and are now equipped to build something stronger. Pain refines, it reveals, it redirects. When you experience pain, you need to stop and ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? What is this pointing me toward? Pain is usually an invitation to become more resilient, more disciplined, more focused. It's not random. It's not meaningless. It has a message, but only if you're willing to listen. When you look at athletes, they understand this principle better than anyone else. They embrace pain as feedback. The sore muscles tell them they've trained the right way. The burn in their lungs tells them they pushed their limits. The sting of a loss tells them where to adjust their strategy. For them, pain is a guidepost. It's never the end, it's a step in the process. That's the mindset you need in your life. If you're hurting right now, don't assume that your pain means it's over. It doesn't mean God has abandoned you. It doesn't mean you're cursed. It doesn't mean you're broken beyond repair. It simply means you're alive. You're in the arena and life is shaping you. Stop treating pain like it's the period at the end of your story. It's just a comma, a pause before the next powerful sentence. Some of the most successful people on the planet got where they are because they refused to misinterpret their pain. They understood it was a signal to rise, not an order to quit. That same opportunity is in front of you right now. When pain hits you, you have a choice. You can let it bury you or build you. You can let it define you or refine you. You can see it as a dead end or as a detour. The difference isn't in the pain itself, it's in the perspective you choose. If you can begin to see pain as a signal, you unlock the ability to move forward with clarity and power. The next time life hurts you, don't ask her, why me? Instead, ask her, what now? Because that's when the pain shifts from something that feels like punishment into something that produces purpose. Stop holding on to pain. Like it's the only thing that defines you. Too many people wake up every morning and replay the same hurt, the same disappointment, the same rejection as if it's the headline of their life story. They drag it around, carrying it on their shoulders like a heavy bag that weighs them down everywhere they go. That's why they move slowly. That's why they never reach their destination. That's why they feel exhausted all the time. They've confused pain with identity. But pain was never meant to be your name tag. It was never meant to be your permanent address. It was meant to be raw material that you convert into something greater. Pain is energy, and energy has to move. If you trap it, it becomes poison. But if you channel it, it becomes fuel. Think about the most powerful engines in the world. They run on combustion, on controlled explosion. Fire, heat, pressure, all painful forces if you were to experience them directly. But inside an engine, all that power is channeled in motion into speed, into force. That's exactly what you have to do with your pain. Instead of letting it burn you from the inside, learn how to direct it toward your grind, your vision, your purpose. Take the betrayal, take the abandonment, take the struggle, and funnel it into the hunger to succeed. When you've been told you can't, let that voice echo in your head as motivation to prove them wrong. When you've been overlooked, let that rejection light a fire so strong that your work ethic makes you undeniable. Don't carry pain like baggage. Convert it like energy. Carrying pain only makes you tired. That's why some people give up so quickly, not because they lack talent, but because they're weighed down by what they refuse to release. They've made bitterness their companion. They've made excuses their shield. But here's the truth. Excuses don't protect you. They imprison you. If you say, I can't win because I was hurt, you're letting the pain win twice. First it cut you, then it controlled you. But when you channel it, pain only wins once and you win forever. You say, yes, it happened to me, but I'm going to use it. I'm going to let the frustration fuel my focus. I'm going to let the heartbreak make me hungrier. I'm going to let the disappointment turn me into a machine. Look at every champion. Behind the medals, behind the applause, there's a story of pain that was redirected. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. That pain could have made him quit. Instead, he turned it into the obsessive drive to practice harder than anyone else. Oprah Winfrey was told she wasn't fit for television. That pain could have shut her down. Instead, she used it as a spark to prove herself and built an empire. These people didn't carry pain like a burden. They channeled it into a current that powered their destiny. You've got to make the same choice. Every time you say, they hurt me, they broke me, they left me, you're carrying pain. Every time you say, I'll show them, I'll rise, I'll build, I'll become, you're channeling pain. It's the same energy, but one keeps you stuck and the other sets you free. And the beautiful thing is you get to decide. You don't control whether life hands you pain. Life will do that without your permission. But you do control whether that pain becomes a chain or a charge. The most dangerous thing you can do is let pain just sit inside you. When you store it, it turns into resentment. And resentment is toxic. It clouds your vision. It poisons your relationships. It blinds your potential. But when you channel it, it sharpens your vision, strengthens your character, and ignites your potential. That's why people who've gone through the most can become the strongest leaders, the most passionate artists, the fiercest entrepreneurs. They've learned to take what tried to break them and redirect it into something that builds them. Stop carrying the weight of yesterday. Stop dragging around the words of people who doubted you. Stop replaying the failures like they define your future. Pain doesn't belong on your back. It belongs under your feet. Use it as the ground you push against when you rise. That's how you channel it. When you're tired, remember the pain and let it push you one more round. When you're discouraged, remember the pain and let it fuel your focus. When you're tempted to quit, remember the pain and let it keep you alive in the fight. You've been through enough already. Why let the pain win again by making you stop? Take back control. Say to yourself, yes, I hurt, but this hurt will not hold me down. It will push me forward. It will not define me. It will refine me. It will not carry me. I will carry it straight into my goals, straight into my dreams, straight into my destiny. That's how you turn pain into power. You channel it, you don't carry it. When you go through pain, your entire perspective shifts. It's almost impossible to see life the same way after you've endured struggle, loss, heartbreak, or failure. Pain has a way of stripping away the illusions, of making you appreciate things you once took for granted. When you've been hungry, you never look at a simple meal the same way again. When you've been broke, you never underestimate the value of a single dollar. When you've been left alone, you value loyalty in a way others can't understand. Pain gives you lenses that people who've lived only in comfort will never possess. It sharpens your vision and grounds you in reality. You stop being entitled, you stop expecting life to hand you things, and you start recognizing the true value of hard work, relationships, and growth. Pain is often misunderstood because it feels like a curse in the moment. But over time, when you reflect on it, you realize it gifted you with perspective you couldn't have gained any other way. Think about a seed planted deep underground. In the darkness, it experiences pressure and weight. If that seed could speak, it would probably describe the soil's pain as suffocation, as a heavy burden. But from that same soil comes life, strength, and growth. Perspective works the same way. Pain puts you in the dirt, but it also teaches you how to rise, how to push through, how to grow toward the light. When you emerge from those seasons, you see the world differently than people who've never been tested. Without pain, life becomes shallow. You won't know what true joy feels like until you've endured sorrow. You won't understand the value of healing until you've experienced the sting of brokenness. Pain produces empathy, and empathy is one of the greatest strengths a human can have. It allows you to connect with people on a deeper level, to lead with compassion, to inspire with authenticity. If you've been through storms, you're not quick to judge someone else's rain. If you've been through nights of crying yourself to sleep, you don't laugh at someone else's tear. Pain broadens your perspective so that you can move through life with greater wisdom and maturity. History proves this over and over again. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and innovators were forged in seasons of pain. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, but it gave him perspective on freedom that allowed him to lead a nation with grace instead of bitterness. Maya Angelou went through unspeakable trauma, but her pain gave her perspective to write words that touched souls across the world. Their pain shaped their lens, and through that lens, they saw opportunities others overlooked. They understood life's depth in a way that only pain can teach. In your own life, you can probably trace your maturity back to moments of difficulty. Maybe it was losing someone you loved. Maybe it was failing at something you thought you were destined to succeed at. Maybe it was facing betrayal from someone you trusted. At the time, it broke you. But looking back, it grew you. You learned lessons you carry even now. You learned to be cautious with your trust, to value the right people, to prepare harder, to work smarter, to never assume tomorrow's guaranteed. That's perspective. Pain took away your innocence, but it replaced it with wisdom. Pain also teaches gratitude. When life has humbled you, you stop overlooking the small things. You appreciate the quiet mornings, the simple victories, the loyal friend who checks on you. You stop chasing only the big wins and start cherishing the little blessings. That's what pain does. It rearranges your priorities. It reminds you that nothing is promised, that everything is borrowed, and that the people and opportunities in your life deserve your presence and appreciation. People who have never been broken off it don't get it. They live entitled, waiting for life to serve them. But those who have been through pain see every blessing as a miracle, every day as a gift. Another way pain changes perspective is by teaching you resilience. When you've been through something that should have destroyed you but did, you begin to view challenges differently. What used to scare you no longer intimidates you. What used to feel impossible now feels like another mountain to climb. To climb, pain shifts your lens so that instead of seeing obstacles as roadblocks, you see them as opportunities to grow stronger. You stop running from discomfort because you've already proven to yourself that you can survive it. That perspective makes you dangerous in the best way possible because nothing life throws at you can take you out. Pain also deepens your vision for the future. Once you've seen how hard life can be, you start dreaming bigger, not because it's easy, but because you know you're equipped to handle the journey. You stop settling for mediocrity because you understand the cost of wasted time and wasted potential. Every person you admire, every champion you've ever watched lift a trophy, stand on a stage, or break a record didn't get there because the road was smooth. They didn't arrive at greatness because life handed them an easy pass. They got there because they endured longer than everyone else. They stayed in the fight when most people quit. That's the difference. Endurance is what builds excellence. It's not about who starts the fastest. It's about who keeps moving when the race gets long, when the legs get heavy, when the lungs are burning. Success is not built in moments of comfort. It's built in seasons of pain. It's the ability to stay disciplined, stay committed, and stay locked in, even when it feels like everything inside you is telling you to stop. Excellence requires a tolerance for pain. It demands a mindset that welcomes pressure instead of running from it. Too many people think success is about talent. They think if you're gifted enough, you'll rise to the top automatically. But talent fades when the grind begins. Talent doesn't keep you awake studying when your eyes are heavy. Talent doesn't make you get up at 4 a.m. to put in reps when nobody is watching. Talent doesn't carry you through heartbreak, failure, or rejection. Endurance does. It's the grit to keep going when comfort whispers for you to quit. It's the decision to say, I hurt, I'm tired, I'm drained, but I will not stop. That's where excellence is forged. Look at athletes training for the Olympics. They don't get world-class bodies and skills because training feels good. Their muscles ache, their lungs burn, their feet blister, their minds scream for rest. But they embrace the pain because they know endurance builds champions. Every repetition they push through builds not just strength, but mental toughness. And that toughness is what separates the gold medalist from the runner-up. In life, it's no different. Excellence in your craft, in your work, in your relationships comes from enduring the difficult moments without giving up. Pain is the fire where excellence is shaped. Comfort zones don't create greatness. If you only work when it feels good, you'll never reach your potential. Endurance is choosing to show up consistently, not occasionally. Excellence doesn't care about how motivated you feel in the moment. It rewards the person who keeps going no matter what. That's why so many people never touch their true potential. They stop when it gets uncomfortable. They want excellence without endurance. But the truth is, you can't have one without the other. Think about someone like Kobe Bryant. He was talented, yes, but it wasn't just talent that made him one of the greatest. It was the endurance to practice at dawn, to stay longer in the gym than anyone else, to play through injuries, to push through pain that would have benched ordinary players. That endurance turned him into a legend. Excellence wasn't in the easy moments, it was in the moments when he refused to stop. That's the principle you need in your own life. You don't need to be the most gifted. You just need to be the one who lasts, the one who refuses to tap out, the one who keeps building when everyone else walks away. The truth about endurance is that it's not glamorous. Nobody claps for you when you're studying late into the night. Nobody cheers when you're practicing alone. Nobody congratulates you when you're sacrificing sleep, comfort, or entertainment to build your future. But excellence is born in those unseen hours. And when the spotlight finally finds you, people will call it talent, people will call it luck, but you'll know it's endurance. You'll know it was every painful, lonely moment that nobody saw. Excellence is not a single moment of brilliance. It's the accumulation of endurance over time. Every day you choose to endure, you're stacking bricks. One by one, those bricks build a foundation so strong that nothing can shake it. And when the storm comes, when the test arrives, when the pressure is highest, you'll be standing because endurance has built you. Excellence doesn't happen overnight, it happens over time. Through countless decisions to keep going when quitting was easier, endurance also teaches you humility. It strips away the arrogance that talent alone can give. Because when you've endured, you know the cost. You know the price of discipline, the sacrifice of time, the sting of setbacks. That's why truly excellent people carry themselves differently. They don't brag, they don't boast, because they know what it took. Pain carved them, endurance shaped them, and excellence became their lifestyle. You may not feel like you have what it takes to be excellent. You may feel ordinary, average, or overlooked. But excellence isn't about starting extraordinary. It's about committing to endure until extraordinary becomes who you are. If you can outlast your pain, you can outlast your competition. Pain is one of the most powerful forces in life, but how you respond to it determines whether it breaks you or builds you. Too many people freeze the moment pain shows up. They get hit by heartbreak, failure, disappointment, or loss, and instead of moving forward, they stop. They let pain paralyze them. They stop dreaming, stop working, stop fighting. But the truth is, pain was never meant to hold you still. It was meant to push you. It can become a driving force that propels you into action, into growth, into becoming the best version of yourself. Pain is energy, and energy is not neutral. It's either going to move you forward or shut you down. The decision belongs to you. When you let pain paralyze you, you surrender your future to your past. You give all your power to something that was meant to be temporary. Pain knocks on your door, and instead of learning from it, you let it move in and live with you. That's why some people never get back up after falling. They think the fall defines them, so they stay down. But the great ones respond differently. They treat pain as a motivator. They use it as a reminder of why they can't stop, why they can't go back, why they have to keep grinding. They take the sting of failure and turn it into fuel. They take the ache of rejection and turn it into resilience. Instead of saying, I can't go on because it hurts, they say, I must go on because it hurts. Think about some of the most inspiring comebacks you've ever heard. Behind every story of triumph was a moment of pain that could have stopped everything. Athletes who tore their bodies apart but refused to retire. Entrepreneurs who went bankrupt but came back to build empires. Students who failed repeatedly but refused to give up until they passed. What made the difference wasn't that their pain was smaller, it was that their response was stronger. They let the pain push them harder than before. They let it ignite a fire so fierce that nothing could extinguish it. That's what separates those who succeed from those who give up. Pain can be the reason you stop or the reason you start again. When you've been hurt, you have two options: wallow in it or work through it. The people who wallow get stuck, living the same year over and over, defined by the moment things went wrong. But the people who work through it rise stronger. They learn, they adapt, they push forward with more determination than before. Pain becomes the force that sharpens their edge, focuses their vision, and fuels their drive. Life is full of moments that hurt deeply. There's no escaping that. You will be disappointed, you will be rejected, you will be doubted, and you will fail. But those moments are not meant to paralyze you. They are tests to see what you will do with the pain. Will you quit when it gets uncomfortable, or will you lean into it and use it to power your next step? Champions lean in. They don't run from pain, they run with it. They say, this hurts, but it's going to teach me. This burns, but it's going to build me. This cuts, but it's going to carve me into something greater. The truth is, pain is often the best motivator you'll ever have. When life feels comfortable, you lose urgency. You get lazy, you stop growing, you settle. But when you're hurting, you become hungry. You start working harder, pushing further, demanding more from yourself. Pain can light a fire inside you that comfort never could. It reminds you that you can't afford to waste time, that you can't afford to play small. Pain wakes you up to the urgency of the moment. It forces you to dig deeper, to find strength you didn't know you had, to rise when everything in you says to fall. You have to make a choice every time pain comes. Sure. You can cry about it, complain about it, and let it freeze you in place. Or you can use it. You can decide that if life is going to make you hurt, you're going to make that hurt count for something. If you're going to cry, you're going to cry. You're going to cry while still moving forward. If you're going to be tired, you're going to be tired while still grinding. If you're going to feel pain, you're going to let it push you, not paralyze you. The difference between breaking down and breaking through is how you handle pain. The people who break down let it trap them in fear, self-pity, and doubt. The people who break through let it fuel their passion, discipline, and drive. Pain will either freeze your feet or light a fire beneath them. It will either lock you in place or launch you into purpose. You have to decide which one it will be. So the next time you feel pain, don't see it as the end. See it as a push. Let it remind you that you're alive, that you still have something to fight for, that you're still in the game. Don't wait for the pain to go away before you move, because it won't. Move through it, grow from it. Let it push you to levels you never imagined. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary. No matter how heavy it feels right now, no matter how overwhelming the struggle seems, pain does not last forever. It feels permanent when you're in the middle of it. But the truth is, pain is temporary. It comes in seasons. It comes in waves, and eventually it passes. What lasts, what stays, what becomes part of you forever is the strength and the power you gain from enduring it. Every time you push through pain, you gain something that can never be taken from you. That's why the phrase is true. Pain is temporary, but power is permanent. Think about the workouts that push you to your limits. In the moment, your muscles ache, your chest burns, your body screams to stop. It feels unbearable, like it would never end. But then the set is over, the workout is done, and the pain fades. What remains is stronger muscles, more endurance, a tougher body. The pain doesn't stay, but the power you built because of it does. That principle applies to everything in life. The late night studying, the long hours grinding at a job, the lonely seasons when you feel like nobody understands. All those come with pain. But once the season passes, you're left with skills, wisdom, and resilience that stay with you forever. Too many people give up because they mistake temporary pain for permanent suffering. They feel the sting of failure and think it defines them for life. They go through heartbreak and believe they'll never love again. They hit a financial setback and think they'll be broke forever. That's the trap. Pain lies to you in the moment. It convinces you it will never end. But if you can endure, if you can survive the moment, you'll realize that fades. What doesn't fade is the power you gain by not quitting. That's the part you get to keep. Look back on the hardest moments of your life. At the time, they felt unbearable. Maybe you thought you wouldn't survive it. Maybe you thought it would break you completely. But here you are. The pain faded. The nights of crying ended. The storm passed. What's left is a stronger you, a wiser you, a version of yourself that knows how to endure. That's the permanent gift that pain leaves behind when you don't quit. Every scar you carry is a reminder that pain was temporary. But your survival, your growth, your power is permanent. This is why successful people are willing to endure more pain than others. They understand the exchange. They know that the pain of discipline, sacrifice, and long hours doesn't last forever, but the results will. Waking up early is painful, but the success built from those mornings is permanent. Saving money while everyone else spends is painful, but the financial freedom that comes later is permanent. Training your body, studying for exams, building a business, sacrificing comfort, all painful in the moment, but all lead to rewards that last. Those who avoid pain never taste true power because they keep choosing temporary comfort and missing out on permanent gain. It's important to remind yourself in the middle of pain that it's not forever. When you're working toward a dream and you're exhausted, when you fail multiple times and you feel like quitting, when the rejection and criticism cut deep, tell yourself this is temporary. The struggle is not eternal. Or the season will change. What you're building, what you're becoming will remain long after the sting is gone. Pain is like a storm. It doesn't stay in the sky forever, but storms water the ground. And from that growth comes lasting fruit. What makes pain feel permanent is our mindset. We focus so much on the hurt that we lose sight of the bigger picture. But if you shift your focus to the power being produced, the pain becomes bearable. That's why athletes embrace the burn, why entrepreneurs embrace the grind, while leaders embrace criticism. They understand that it's producing something permanent inside them. Pain may touch the body, but the power it builds touches the soul. The power gained through pain is also transferable. It spreads into every area of your life. The patience you learn by enduring one season of struggle helps you in future relationships. The resilience you build pushing through financial hardship strengthens you when you face career challenges. The focus you develop while studying through exhaustion prepares you for bigger responsibilities later. Pain produces permanent qualities that elevate you in every aspect of life. That's why it's worth it. That's why you can't quit when it hurts. The truth is, comfort is temporary too. The pleasure of skipping the workout, of taking the easy path, of avoiding the challenge, it doesn't last either. But unlike pain, comfort leaves you with nothing permanent. It doesn't build you, it doesn't strengthen you, it doesn't grow you. Pain may be uncomfortable for a season, but it always leaves you with something valuable, something lasting. Comfort feels good in the moment, but leaves you empty in the long run. One of the biggest mistakes people make is running from their own story. They try to hide their scars, bury their pain, and pretend the tough seasons never happened. But the truth is, the very thing you're ashamed of, the very thing you wish you could erase, is the thing that holds the most power. Your story, your scars, your struggles are not weaknesses to conceal. They are weapons to wield. When you own your story instead of hiding from it, you transform pain into purpose and weakness into strength. People don't connect with perfection, they connect with authenticity. They connect with the real, raw story of someone who went through the fire and came out stronger. That's why you have to stop running from what hurt you. You have to own it because it's the key to unlocking your influence and your impact. Pain becomes powerful when you stop denying it and start embracing it. Too often, people live in shame because of what they've been through. They say, a nobody will respect me if they know I failed, or a nobody will love me if they know my past, or a nobody will believe in me if they know what I've done. But the opposite is true. The moment you own your story is the moment you set yourself free. Shame loses its grip when you shine light on it. What was once a source of embarrassment becomes a source of empowerment. Instead of saying, well, this broke me, you can stand up and say, instead of saying, it's ruined me, you can declare, this refined me. You can declare, this refined me. Owning your story allows you to walk with confidence because you no longer have anything to hide. Think about the people who inspire you the most. They aren't the ones who claim life has always been easy. They're the ones who are transparent about their struggle. They share the nights they almost gave up, the mistakes they made, the obstacles they faced. And because they share their truth, their message carries weight. You believe them because you know they've been where you are. That's why your story matters. Somebody out there is waiting for you to stop hiding and start sharing. They need to see your scars so they know healing is possible. They need to hear your failures so they know they can rise after falling. They need to witness your resilience so they know they can survive too. Survive too. When you hide your story, you not only rob yourself of freedom, but you rob others of hope. There is someone whose breakthrough is connected to your transparency. The pain you endured is not just for you. It's for the people who will be inspired by how you overcame it. That's why running from your story keeps you stuck. You can't walk into your destiny while you're still running from your history. You have to turn around, face it, and own it fully. Every scar, every mistake, every chapter that felt like an ending, bring it all with you and make it part of your power. Owning your story doesn't mean you glorify the pain or celebrate the mistakes. It means you acknowledge them honestly and show how they shape you. It means you refuse to let your past control you, but you also refuse to erase it. Because if you erase it, you erase the very foundation of your strength. Pain taught you lessons that nothing else could. It gave you resilience, humility, empathy, and drive. Why would you throw that away by pretending it never happened? When you stand on your story instead of hiding from it, you become unshakable. People can't use it against you because you've already claimed it. What once felt like change now becomes your platform. Owning your story also means taking responsibility. It's easy to blame others, to point fingers, to act like everything was outside your control. But when you truly own it, you accept even your mistakes as part of your journey. You don't excuse them, but you learn from them. You say, yes, I messed up, but I grew. Yes, I failed, but I got back up. Yes, I failed, but it shaped my character. That kind of honesty gives you credibility. It makes your voice stronger, your presence more powerful, and your influence deeper. People can forgive your flaws, but they can't trust your mask. They don't want a facade of perfection. They want the truth. Some of the most powerful leaders, entrepreneurs, and change makers didn't get that influence from hiding their pain. They got it by owning it. Oprah openly speaks about her difficult childhood. Dwayne Johnson talks about the depression he battled. Eric Thomas himself talks about being homeless and a high school dropout before turning his life around. What makes their stories powerful isn't the success alone. It's the transparency of the journey. They turned their pain into a platform because they stopped running from it. Your story has the same power. The chapters you wish never existed are the very ones that make your journey meaningful. When you stand in front of people and say, I've been there, they listen differently.